Libby confronts her father over Tom's banishment, only to find herself in a dangerous situation with Charles that will change everything. Steel yourselves, my darlings, for the moment of truth has arrived, and it's hotter than a forbidden kiss. Chapter 10. A Father's Folly. Libby's heart raced as she strode into her father's study, her eyes blazing with a mixture of hurt and righteous anger.
"How could you, Father?"
she demanded, her voice trembling.
"How could you send Tom away without a word?"
Congressman Ainsworth looked up from his desk, his brow furrowed.
"Elizabeth, what on earth are you talking about?"
"Don't play innocent with me,"
Libby spat.
"I know all about Tom being sent to work on Uncle Emmett's estate in Vermont. Why would you do that?"
Her father sighed heavily, removing his spectacles.
"My dear, I did what I felt was best. Tom was a distraction, and I thought it would be better for everyone if he were no longer in the picture."
Libby stared at him aghast.
"A distraction? He's been loyal to this family for years. How dare you dismiss him like that?"
"Libby, you must understand,"
Congressman Ainsworth said, his tone placating.
"As your father, I have a responsibility to ensure your future is secure, and frankly, that young man was a threat to your prospects with Charles Houghton."
Libby recoiled as if she'd been slapped.
"A threat? Tom is worth 100 of Charles Houghton. He's kind, honest, and cares about me for who I am, not just as a pawn in your political games."
Her father's expression darkened.
"Enough of this nonsense. You will cease this infatuation with the groom and focus on your duties as a proper young lady. Your place is with Charles, not with some servant."
Libby felt her hands tremble with barely contained fury.
"My place is wherever I choose to be, Father, and I choose to be with Tom."
Before her father could respond, Libby turned on her heel and stormed out of the study, her vision blurred by angry tears. She fled the manor, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere and her father's narrow-minded views. Out in the gardens, Libby found solace among the blooming roses, their sweet scent calming her frayed nerves. She sank down onto a stone bench, burying her face in her hands as the weight of the situation threatened to overwhelm her.
"Miss Ainsworth?"
Libby looked up to see Charles Houghton approaching, his brow furrowed in concern.
"Forgive me, I didn't mean to intrude. I saw you come out here and I wanted to make sure you were all right."
Libby quickly wiped at her eyes, straightening her spine.
"I'm fine, Mr. Houghton, just dealing with a family matter."
Charles moved closer, his gaze roaming over her face.
"Ah, I see. Is there anything I can do to help?"
His voice was low, almost a purr, and he placed a hand on her shoulder. Libby stiffened at his touch, suddenly keenly aware of how alone they were in the secluded garden.
I don't believe so, thank you."
Charles's grip tightened slightly.
"Come now, Libby. We're to be married. You can confide in me."
Libby's eyes widened.
"Married? Charles, I never agreed to that."
He chuckled, his other hand coming up to caress her cheek.
"Ah, but your father and I have discussed it. It's all been arranged."
Panic flared in Libby's chest as Charles leaned in, his lips seeking hers. She tried to pull away, but his hold on her was unyielding.
"Charles, stop!"
she cried, terror rising in her voice.
"Unhand me this instant."
But the young suitor seemed deaf to her pleas, his desire to claim her as his own overwhelming any semblance of reason or restraint. Libby squeezed her eyes shut, praying for some miracle to save her from this nightmare. And then, as if in answer to her unspoken prayer, she heard a familiar voice ring out, full of righteous fury.
"Unhand her, you scoundrel.